welcome to our attendees. My name is Jocelyn Protopappas, and I am the Manager of Special Projects at San Diego State University's Center for Excellence in Aging and Longevity. We're very excited to have our few attendees here today attending what we are calling our Age-Friendly University Month webinar takeover. So this initiative is our second webinar out of a four-part series. We're having a webinar every Tuesday that is highlighting different universities across the country, actually across the world, because we have one Canadian university, so that's exciting, who are doing age-friendly initiatives on their campus to talk about things that are going well and some just to spark some inspiration for those of us who are working on our own campuses. So this is the second of four webinars. If you'd like to see our first webinar, it was on intergenerational housing, and that will be available on our SEAL website. The Age-Friendly University Month at SDSU, this is our very first one. We're very excited. We are having events on campus, on the internet, intergenerational movie nights. We've had all kinds of events to help celebrate age diversity. So today's conversation is called Insights and Brightspots. This is a opportunity to talk with other universities, like I said, about some of the insights and bright spots they've had as age-friendly universities. We have some very special guests here joining us today from Middle Tennessee State University, and we have our very own director from the Center for Excellence in Aging and Longevity, and I would say the founder of our AFU initiative at SDSU, Steve, with us today as well. So what are we going to do today? First things first, I'm going to take a moment to do some level setting in talking about what the age-friendly university is. We'll talk about how you become an age-friendly university and where you can find some more information. I'm going to then turn it over to our panelists to talk a little bit about some highlights from their campus. They'll spend each about 10 to 12 minutes going through and discussing what their university is doing. I have prepared a few hard-hitting questions for our guests where they will share a little bit about their experiences in being an AFU. And at the end, we will leave a few minutes for questions and answers with our guests as well. So I wanted to kick off our conversation today with this quote. This quote is describing the longevity dividend, if you've heard of that. Social, cultural, and economic benefits arise when a society adapts to increased longevity by investing in health, education, and workforce participation across the lifespan. When I read this quote, it reminds me that longevity is not just about added years. It's about adding purpose and opportunity across those years as well. It's making sure that when we age, we are aging with purpose, and that as a society, we recognize that. It challenges us to move away from the idea of aging as an individual experience and instead to think about the shared opportunity that longevity brings to all of us. When our systems, like our education systems, our healthcare systems, our employment systems, are inclusive of all ages, everybody benefits. And for me, that's the true heart of the age-friendly university movement. It's about creating environments for people of every generation to learn, to contribute, and to thrive across the lifespan. So I thought this quote really kind of summed up what we're all really working towards here when we are an age-friendly university. All right. So what is an age-friendly university? At its core, an age-friendly university is a higher education institution that's committed to promoting inclusion, engagement, and opportunity for learners of all ages. So I really want to drive home that all ages piece. In a moment, I'm going to share with you the 10 principles of an age-friendly university, and a lot of those highlight the word older adult. But I really want to drive home that all ages piece. When we look at a lot of universities, many of the initiatives and focus are on the traditional aged learner, people who are 18 to 24 years old. And they do represent a really important part of our campus. But on the flip side, we have people who are in the non-traditional age bracket, people who are over the age of 25. And these people also represent an incredibly important part of our campus. And they also bring a lot of life experience, different motivations, different learning styles to campus with them as well. If our focus is wholly on traditional age learners, we're missing a huge opportunities when we don't focus on non-traditional age students and our older adult populations who also are on campus. So all that to say, I think it's really important we underline, highlight, circle learners of all ages. These institutions focus on intergenerational connections, supportive and flexible learning environments. That one's really key, and policies and practices that support older adults. So I'm going to show you here our 10 principles of the age-friendly university. I won't read through these word for word because I don't want anyone taking a nap on me. But these are really the driving principles that make a university age-friendly. And again, I encourage you when you see the word older adult to kind of put a slash behind it and say non-traditional learners as well, or people of all ages, because when we look at this from a perspective where everybody is engaged in core activities of the university, where everybody has personal and career development opportunities and wide ranges of educational opportunities, it makes for a better and richer culture on campus. Some other key pieces of the age-friendly university principles that I want to highlight are the opportunity for campuses to offer more information about longevity and aging, both in their coursework, in their research opportunities, and that the campus is engaging with organizations that represent the interests of the aging population. So this 10 principles, what you'll find when you read through these is that there are a lot of ways to be an age-friendly university. And there are a lot of ways to go about that, which we'll talk about a little bit today. This is a very brief overview of how you become an age-friendly university. There are 3 steps, but I think all 3 of my panelists today can say that it's a little more complicated than this when you actually get into it. The first step to becoming an age-friendly university is to find your age-friendly university champions on campus. These are people that support the initiative. Those folks create a work group, and one of their big tasks is looking at those 10 principles of the AFU and creating an inventory of how your university or college is addressing the age-friendly university principles. The second piece of the puzzle is securing institutional commitment. So your champions must meet with the senior leadership at your university to go over the 10 principles and get a commitment from senior leadership that you will continue to strive and work towards being an AFU. You also must get a letter of endorsement from that leadership. The final piece is completing and submitting your endorsement application. So your application goes to the Secretariat of the Age-Friendly University Global Network and the Executive Council for review. And then, ta-da, you get designated as an AFU. Again, I think my panelists today will say the work doesn't stop there. It just begins there. So I want to just briefly touch on the Age-Friendly University Global Network. This network is an international consortium of higher education institutions committed to making universities more age inclusive. There are currently at least 110 universities across 5 continents that have been designated as AFUs. The coordination and governance, like I said, is run by the Secretariat. His name is Aaron Guest, and he's out of Arizona State University. There's also an executive council that helps support and govern the AFU Global Network. All right. So why does any of this matter now? Why is the age-friendly university popping up into your feed now? Why are we talking about it? Well, there's a whole lot of reasons. First and foremost, there are global, national, and local trends in aging. So there's a couple different things here that are happening with our population that make it critically important for our campuses to be looking to non-traditional age students. First and foremost, birth rates are down, meaning that there are less non-traditional age students to be enrolling in school. In addition to that, older folks are living longer, healthier lives and are wanting more opportunities to engage in things like encore careers or just they're lifelong learners. So the combination of less people at the bottom of the age pyramid and more at the top means that this is a really great opportunity for universities to be looking to other populations to help fill the seats in their classrooms. Other reasons that this is popping up is that, as I mentioned before, SDSU is celebrating their very first age-friendly university month, where we are having all types of events to celebrate age diversity on campus, including this webinar series. It is also Healthy Aging Month, and last week was Ageism Awareness Day. Ageism is alive and well on college campuses, so it's really, really important that we continue to have these conversations. So Without further ado here, I'm going to briefly introduce, and then allow them to take over the mic here, our guests for today. So with us today, we have Dr. Deborah Lee and Dr. Brandon Grubbs from Middle Tennessee State University, and we have Steve Hornberger from San Diego State University. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I am going to pass it over to Deborah to present on what Middle Tennessee is doing at their university.
Thank you, Jocelyn. I'm going to be sharing my screen and I'm hoping you can see the slides. Let me know. Yay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the invitation. We are thrilled to be here today to talk about Middle Tennessee State University and our journey towards becoming an age-friendly university. So we are new at this. As opposed to SDSU, which has had an age-friendly university, I believe, for several years. So we just became designated age-friendly in December of 2024. So really quite recently. So all of this is very fresh to us that we're going to go through today. So I'm going to sort of set the stage for how this came to be at our university. And then Brandon's going to go into the principles that we wrote into our application that are highlights of what we have at our university that make us age friendly. And then I'm just going to wind it up at the end with a few little things just to say to you. So that's how we're going to spend our 10 to 12 minutes with you. So Middle Tennessee State University, Steve was asking us earlier, it is quite literally in the geographic center of Tennessee. The marker for the geographic center is less than half a mile from the campus. So we are just there. We are about 30 miles southeast of Nashville, and Murfreesboro is where we're located. And it's a pretty good sized city. I think we have about 170,000 people in Murfreesboro. So it's quite a big community and continues to grow because it's a much more livable, price-wise place to live rather than Nashville. So it has grown because of that. We have about 21,000 students, and that includes graduate, undergraduate, and doctoral students at our campus, and approximately 1,300 faculty, part-time, full-time, tenured, non-tenured, et cetera. So that gives you an idea of the scope of the university. The other part of the slide here is that universities are part of the age-friendly ecosystem. So all of those components you see there with the different colors make us an age-friendly ecosystem or an age-friendly environment for older adults. And so where universities really touch that the most is in the purple section that says education and research. But certainly through the age-friendly university work, we touch many of those other areas that make up the ecosystem, not just education and research. So how did all this get started? This all got started in 2019 when I came into my position as the Chair of Excellence in Nursing. And part of that role is focused on geriatrics. And I started going around campus because I was new to the campus, and tried to identify faculty who already were doing work in the area of aging and older adults. And I came upon Brandon pretty quickly, lucky for me, because Brandon already had a research program that he had done out of his doctoral program and was continuing that research. So Brandon and I together co-founded the Positive Aging Consortium at Middle Tennessee State University. So we established it in April of 2019, and in 2020, we invited community partners to join us. So we have about at any one time, four community partners who participate with us. And the whole idea is that really opened the door for us in terms of collaborative work, of course, with our community. And in 2019, we had a steering committee and we developed our mission, our vision, our goals, and our priorities. And those can all be found on our website. And you'll see our website is there at the bottom for the consortium. So the steering committee developed these, and then we got them approved through the full consortium at the end of 2019. So these are the goals. Of course, if you're in academia, these are the three legs of the stool: research, education, and service. So those are the things that we focus on in the Positive Aging Consortium. And as you can see, even in the research area and really in all of these, collaboration and community partnership is really a big part of what we do. And I will say, I'll talk a little bit more later, but this photograph here is from our second Positive Aging Conference that we held in 2024. So we are getting ready to do another one in 2026. And that's something we're really proud of that the consortium puts on every other year. And that really is a conference for older adults to give them information to help them have healthy, vibrant lives. So how did we find the age-friendly university? So how did we do this? Well, it started with the consortium. And with our conference in 2024, we reached out to the State Department of Health because the commissioner for public health at the time was very interested in older adults. And as a physician, that was actually the population that he had cared for. And we asked him to speak at our conference in 2024. And really, that is how we got connected with them. And he also established the Office of Healthy Aging at the state level. So we started having more dialogue with that office because they were very interested in what we were doing with the consortium. And in those conversations, they really introduced us to the Trust for America's Health. And the Trust for America's Health is the organization that's a nonprofit, and it focuses on one of their areas of focus is age-friendly public health systems. So Tennessee has the unique distinction that all of our health departments in the state are designated age-friendly. And so they were very excited about us and our interest in pursuing the age-friendly university designation. So in those conversations with the Trust for America's Health, they introduced us to Dr. Aaron Guest at Arizona State that you heard Jocelyn talk about. And in those conversations that Brandon and I had with him, he was very encouraging for us to go ahead and pursue an application for designation. So we went about this. It's pretty similar to what Jocelyn showed you. And she said, oh, there's more to it than that. But this is our recipe for what we did is we first found a supportive high-level administrator within our university who we thought would be interested and could help us get the messages up to the higher level administration within the university. And she helped us identify and pull together administrative level individuals on the campus who we thought probably had some programs or knowledge or information about opportunities within those areas that they oversaw that could be considered age-friendly or that we could potentially highlight in our application. Brandon did a lot of this work in number 3. So a lot of it was then going back to individuals that had been identified to us through the administrative level and getting data from those individuals in order to develop our proposal. So we started in July of 2024, and through the summer and into early fall is when we did this data collection. And then we took the data we had and we looked at the 10 principles and we mapped those principles to mapped the data that we had to the principles to see where they fit in. And sometimes there's some overlap. And then once we did that, we identified 4 areas. Actually, we identified 6 areas, but we only submitted 4 areas, and Brandon will talk about that a little bit next. Part of that is also you have to have a letter of support either from the provost, president, or chancellor, whatever that person's called at your university, that says they support this endeavor. And then you just submit your application online, and it's actually a pretty fast process to submit it once you have it written. And the other thing I always like to mention is people say, well, how much does this cost for the university to join? And the wonderful thing is it costs nothing to join. So it's a wonderful designation, for a university to have. And it's not costing the university any money in terms of belonging or having a membership in that. So I'm going to turn it over to Brandon. He's going to talk about those 4 principles that we identified and then what we have on the horizon for the next 5 years.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As Debbie mentioned, we highlighted 4 principles in our AFU application. Those were principles 2, 3, 5, and 10. So the next couple of slides will have the principal up there at the top, and then I'll just provide a brief overview of the programming and activities that we described and presented data for. So for principle 2, we wanted to highlight that MTSU provides flexible degree completion options for adults returning to school, including the adult degree completion program and the prior learning assessment, PLA for short, that award credit for work and life experience to degree completion. The Alumni Summer College and the Lifelong Learning Programs, they are opportunities for older adults to get for engaging non-degree learning opportunities. So really they just get to go in there. There is a specific topic. It could be forensic sciences, and then maybe get to hear from a speaker that is a professional in that discipline, and they might also tour a facility of some sort, getting an opportunity to connect with these individuals. MTSU also offers discounted or free course audits for older adults, expanding access to lifelong learning. So there's a senior discount, and if they want to register for a course that is tied to completing a degree, it's a discounted rate. But if they just want to take the course for fun or for personal development, they can audit it and they don't have to pay anything for it. So that's a great opportunity. And on this next slide here, it's still principle 2, but we got some great data from a center called the June Anderson Center for Women and Non-Traditional Students. And of course, older adults fall in the non-traditional student sector. And so they were able to report to us enrollment stretching all the way back to fall of 2007 for students that were 50 years and older. And so you can see a consistent enrollment that ranges anywhere between 400 and then upwards, I think, of just over 600 across that time span. And so the June Anderson Center is a major resource hub for non-traditional students, and they offer scholarships, advising, and services to help balance education with life responsibilities. Unfortunately, recently, the June Anderson Center was closed because of the current political landscape's views on DEI. And so for me, that's evidence now more than ever with a growing older adult population that we make the changes needed to support the needs of older adults. And so for principle 3, we highlighted the MALA program, or the Masters of Liberal Arts, and the Masters of Professional Studies, or MPS for short. So the MALA program draws students aged in their early 20s to up to 78 with interdisciplinary flexible coursework, evening and online classes that support both a busy professional as well as retirees. And so the MPS program serves working professionals with fully online graduate degrees, as well as concentrations in leadership, human resources, and other training. And so these programs foster intergenerational classrooms where older adults experiences enriched learning for all students in the classroom. There are also state tuition waivers and flexible formats that help older adults pursue advanced degrees for career growth or personal enrichment. So for principle 5, we highlighted the very robust online programming that MTSU has to offer. At the time of data collection last year, MTSU offered 74 fully online majors with concentrations in a variety of certificates, plus hybrid programs featuring online programming as well as on-ground programming. And the MTSU Online is what they're referred to. The online programming offers flexible scheduling, helping older adults balance education with work, caregiving, or retirement goals. And there's also a robust online student support services that include things like tutoring, library access, mental health counseling, as well as career advising. Online enrollment has steadily grown, with over half of students taking at least one online course in 23 to 24. And so the final principle that we highlighted MTSU activities in our AFU application was for principle 10. And so we had a lot of things that we were able to describe for this principle. Both Debbie and I separately have been fortunate to collaborate with Vanderbilt University, located in Nashville, on the Geriatric Workforce Enhancement Program, or GWEP for short. Debbie is actually active right now in her award. Mine took place across the pandemic and ended, I think, just this past year. We highlighted the Positive Aging Consortium, again, which launched in 2019, connecting MTSU faculty experts in aging with students and community partners to advance positive aging. The PAC for short hosts the Positive Aging conferences. And so we've held one in 2022, 2024, and we have our third one coming up in the spring of 26. And these conferences bring together older adults in the community, caregivers, and other professionals, the key opinion leaders, to help communicate and discuss aspects of positive aging and healthy aging that attendees can take directly home with them and apply to their daily lives. So it's not an academic or research conference by any means, but you have the professionals and the experts delivering that information. We also highlighted collaborations with local organizations like our local senior center, the St. Clair Senior Center, which one of the representatives from that organization is one of our community members for the consortium. We've also connected with assisted living facilities and TenCare to create research, service, and internship opportunities. And I can't highlight enough how important that community connection, being deeply rooted between the community and the university, how that's opened so many doors for us to be able to connect with older adults and share what the faculty and the university have to offer to support positive and healthy aging. Debbie and I also do a lot of media outreach. We're scheduled to do a local television interview about the age-friendly university designation, and where we'll talk about what we've been doing as a consortium and the activities associated with that designation. And we've done numerous radio interviews in Murfreesboro, and most recently with the Nashville Public Radio Station on an aging segment that they were funded. So we're very excited to be able to increase our visibility through those media outlets. And then for the next 5 years, we are focusing on two particular aspects that will allow us to better align with more principles, more of the 10 AFU principles. One of the things that we'll be focusing on is the modernization of our aging studies program, which has been around for a long time. But faculty that have retired or moved on, have really been the driving force of this curriculum, but it needs an update. And so it's an interdisciplinary undergraduate minor as well as a graduate certificate. And so recently we've convened a working group of Positive Aging Consortium members in collaboration with the Tennessee Department of Health's Office of Healthy Aging. And so what the working group will do is try to identify educational gaps in preparing graduates to meet the evolving needs of older Tennesseans. And we want to update the curriculum language and the marketing of these educational opportunities to better communicate career value, and so that students can can more clearly identify the value of the minor and the graduate certificate in supporting them in being career ready if they're entering a career that will likely serve older adults. And so it's a complete overhaul and modernization of how aging education is delivered and perceived. Another aspect is research. We actually wanted to highlight the research in our application, but we took a step back and thought, well, it might be to our advantage to highlight this as an area of growth, and that we might be able to, once we receive the designation, kind of hold the feet of administration to the fire, per se, to help us in supporting a more active aging research agenda. And so I can just quickly highlight some things that we're doing right now. MTSU has an aquatic research lab, which was where my work is out of. And we've done some pilot studies with knee osteoarthritis using the underwater treadmills. They're above ground underwater treadmills. And we've adapted the Arthritis Foundation's Walk with Ease program to this aquatic environment, looked at pain, muscle activity, overall quality of life, and physical function. And I am taking that in my own lead and doing that with physical frailty. And so I have a case study that was just approved through the ethics board, and we're recruiting right now. And we'll be looking at a similar protocol, but looking at indices of physical frailty, pain, physical function, and muscle morphology using the ultrasound. Some of this work has led us to pursue a PCORI funding. PCORI stands for Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute. And so we have an intent in collaboration with a PAC member from social work and a couple of us from exercise physiology and the Department of Health on rolling out an effectiveness study targeting rural Appalachian community members with an aquatic walking intervention using a self-propelled treadmill we put in the local pool. And so we're excited to submit a letter of intent for that in November. And Debbie and I and a colleague of ours, Dr. Jamie Burris, she's the director of the MTSU Undergraduate Research Center. We just received IRB approval for a qualitative study on careers and aging. And so this study aims to identify student and faculty perspectives on the opportunities, challenges, and barriers associated with pursuing careers in aging. And it's very interesting. This concept originated from an NIH funding announcement that we saw that promoted mentorship and opportunities for students pursuing aging research careers. And of course, we were in the shift and politically at the White House, and there was a lot of NIH turmoil. And so as quickly as we saw this opportunity, it disappeared. So we decided to run with it and expand it to outside of research. Our hope is that we'll get some very insightful data, and that if this funding opportunity comes back, we should be a competitive applicant since we'll have some great data in our proposal. The last thing that we're doing, if I can get my act together as a faculty member, is to organize a call to action for new research in aging. And so what I envision is working with the Office of Research and Special Projects and our College of Behavioral and Health Sciences to do a call out to the entire university for any faculty doing any kind of research in aging or any interest in connecting and collaborating with someone who's an aging research expert, and try to get all these people together in a room and maybe do a little speed dating just to connect everyone and start conversations of potential collaboration. That's where the ideas start. And so we just kind of want to do it officially, because Debbie and I continue to find people that are doing excellent work in aging that are not a part of the consortium, but the university is so large and we operate in silos. It sometimes can be difficult to find and connect with those individuals. So this is the next 5 years for us, and we're very excited for the road that lies ahead.
Wow, bravo.
I mean, oh, no, go ahead. Sorry. I didn't realize.
No,
You keep going.
yes. So thanks, Brandon, for doing that wonderful overview of what we've done and where we're going. So this is the wind up, or the wind down. So I just wanted to highlight the value of partnerships in all of this. You know, you can't do this kind of work unless you have partners, not just partners inside your university, but partners outside your university. And because we were the first university in Tennessee, and currently still the only university in Tennessee with this designation, we were able to get, as Brandon said, a lot of opportunities to talk to the media. And certainly our Tennessee Department of Health and the Office of Healthy Aging was really key in a lot of this. And so that picture you see of me, that's also Dr. Ralph Alvarado, who was the former Commissioner of Health. He just recently left us to go back to Kentucky. But he came on campus and we did an interview for our video magazine that the university does once a month. We've also had, articles published. St. Clair Street Senior Center, that's their logo there, the blue, it looks like a maze. As Brandon said, they've been great partners for us. So we have been very fortunate and so pleased to receive this designation. And again, we always want to acknowledge the big partnerships that we have that really have helped make this possible. And this is the save the date card. If anybody wants to travel from the West Coast, come see us in Murfreesboro. It's a wonderful day. And as Brandon said, it is a conference for older adults. There are not many of those out there. We get sponsorship that helps us keep the registration fee at $35, which we've done for all three of the conferences. So we're really proud of that too. And registration opens in February. So we thank you for your interest in our work and your attention. And there is our email addresses, which are literally our first dot last name at mtsu.edu. So thank you for the opportunity to be with you today.
Wow, Brandon, Debbie, I mean, I think that Steve and I don't often get to be in spaces where people are doing a lot of the same work that goes along this almost same lines of stuff that we are working on, and hearing this has been very inspiring to me. Made me want to, I was over here head nodding, had to be on silent because I was, like rah, rah, rah. This is so exciting. I didn't realize that you guys had just gotten designated. So congratulations. It is really exciting for us to see the work that you're doing. I'm going to allow Steve, I'm going to challenge you to 10 minutes.
Okay, so though we came to it in a very different way, and I think that matters. The university was having this big idea challenge, so I was involved, had been involved with six age-friendly community action planning and various stakeholders in San Diego County. And so we all came together and said, well, the action plan really makes good sense, but we want to look for healthy aging across the lifespan, because the group that's going to benefit the most from longevity dividend is not older adults, but rather their children and their grandchildren, because they're going to be able to live in a society and a community that's going to be very different. So we met, we had 25 stakeholders, government, elected officials, academics, older adults, advocates, CBOs, and we met for a year. And out of that, we came up with three things. One was that we wanted to have SDSU become an age-friendly university. The second was to create a Center for Excellence in Aging and Longevity. And the third was to continue the research network that had been developed, because much like you, we had to do an inventory, because everybody who does aging research up to this point had been doing it in their own silo or with whatever the funder was offering, and that's what they worked on. And so literally we had to create that. And out of that research networks, these SEAL, that's the larger effort, their areas. And I just want to touch for a moment on research, and I'll pick up it later. In order to make it community-centered and community-driven, we had a faculty member from SDSU and a faculty member from UCSD, which is another large university in the San Diego area, to be co-chairs. But like you intimated, we didn't want it to become an academic-focused research network. So we also had a third co-chair who was the CEO of the Meals on Wheels in San Diego. And so that It's always, they listed criteria, it's on our website, to be community-centered and offer criteria for students to get involved in various activities. The other piece, in our mission, and I think this is where it overlaps very nicely with age-friendly, is so everyone has a long life filled with health, opportunity, and purpose. Too often aging feels like loss, decline, something's not good anymore, or you're having more and more risk and despair. And we're trying to make sure that people realize if you got an extra 20 or 30 years of life, which is what the research seems to tell you, how do you want to live it? And so how do you find purpose? How do you build health? And then how do you find the opportunities in the community with like-minded people or people that you're going to advocate for? And so it's been a very strong community-centered and community-driven approach to age-friendly university. One of the areas, much like you highlighted about workforce issues, we had a state grant to create, to do training for caregivers for both people who are already working in the field as well as family and friends. And out of that, we trained over, that's actually an old slide. We actually now have trained over 7,600 people in 2.5 years, and they've completed more than 80,000 hours of training. We broke it up into 6 tracks of 15 hours, and that was because our local in-home services and support public authority said, and they were one of our partners in this, is if they have 15 hours of training, then we can expedite their certification as a caregiver. And I don't know what's happening in Tennessee, but we have more people eligible for in-home services and support than we have caregivers and attendants who can provide that service. So we were really trying to find a way to expand and diversify the workforce. You see what the impact was. The other piece that we did that I think might be of interest to you was we realized that if people or family and friends are getting all this training, they need a place to sort of talk about it because most people learn caregiving, but what they saw in their household growing up or what their culture tells them to do. And so we created these peer support efforts. And it was slow to get started, but Fernando Reyes, our staff member, he was just determined. So now, as we speak, over 2,400 people have gone through peer support or in peer support over the last 1.5 years. And as we speak, we have 15 peer support groups all around San Diego that meet at least once a month. And what I'm really proud of, one of them is all male. Think about that. You're appreciating that when you're nodding your head. That's unusual, but I think we've tapped into a place where people feel like I want to share, I want to learn, I want to build community. It's not just me alone and managing my caregiver burden. We're now we've done 8 age-friendly community action plans in San Diego County as well as one upstate. So we're learning how to do it in a hybrid manner actually. And I would say go on our website and you would see all of the plans that we've developed. We do it with a survey. But then we have listening sessions, sharing. Like in San Diego, we had 12 of them. We're just now in Encinitas. We're doing 4 listening sessions where we go to different areas of the community in partnership with local intermediaries to hear from what people say. This is what we heard in the survey. Does this make sense to you? What else did we miss? What else did not be said? What really matters? And out of that, we begin to draft goals and objectives that we then review with municipal staff, bring it back to the community, say, all right, here's the goal. Is this the right objective? Is this who else should be involved? And then we bring it back to the elected officials who put it up for public review. And then once all of them have been endorsed. So I think Michelle, Matter, Jocelyn, and Fernando and local volunteers do a great job in managing these things. As you can tell, she really likes engaging people. She's been our champion. How it got started. So originally once we gave the note to the president and I was CC'd by the dean who had been part of the healthy aging group. And he said, Steve, this is from the group's suggestions. This is what I'm going to send to the president to see if we will be an age-friendly university. And he CC'd me. So it went to her. 2 hours later, we got a letter back from an email from her saying, "This is great. It aligns perfectly with our strategic plan and our commitment to lifelong learning. Yes, go ahead." Out of that, we've begun to develop and live through some transitions in terms of leadership in the university. That we now have a work group as well as a steering committee, and the work group is what Jocelyn chairs. And what you're seeing here is our first ever Age-Friendly University Month. We have something every single week. And it's, again, last year we had a career fair on campus. It's becoming part of the ethos and the culture of the university now to say, age friendly, that's not such a foreign concept. And it's all hats off to Jocelyn. So here's a couple of the things. We're doing a community call hub, which is an approach that you do a 15-minute social call to people that have been identified at risk of being socially isolated or lonely. We partnered originally with Meals on Wheels. They would identify people that said they don't reach the level of acuity where we need to intervene, but can you do something? Well, we had initially we did 12 Meals on Wheels participants and 12 grad students. We did some training. We had an infrastructure so people didn't see each other's phone calls. But here's the fascinating piece. 4 weeks of 15-minute calls, just like you would talk on your backyard to your neighbor. All of the older adults' social loneliness score went down. And also all of the grad students' social loneliness score went down because grad students are pretty isolated themselves. And so it was really this back and forth where people were learning and talking about things that may not have been part of their daily life, but this was the thing that helped them get through this, just the stressors of daily living. We did one of the research network grants was to look at social housing. Michelle Matter, our director, did national survey, and we're discovering that there are various approaches to how do you have graduate student and older adults living in shared housing. And then what we're going to be starting in the spring is called a friend zone, where we're going to have older adult volunteers who will commit to sit on a bench and just say, "I'm here to talk." We saw this happen in Arizona, and it was amazing to see the dialogues that college students wanted to have with somebody who's not in their circle and is not their grandmother or grandfather, and just need to dialoguing, gaining some of the wisdom that someone who's lived 50 or 60 years longer than them has to offer with no judgment. I'm excited to see where that goes. What we're doing in January is creating a certificate for aging leadership through our global campus. And the goal here is preparing middle supervisors and people who are interested, as you were saying, a career in aging services, to be better prepared. And the folks in Tennessee may know about the Healthy Aging Coalition, because that's been around from Tivity, started it probably 10, 12 years ago, and it was focused on rural health originally, and then they made it just healthy aging. And it always meets in DC so that they can build bridges and connect stakeholders with federal and state federal employees and agencies, like NIA, ACL, etc. And because of what we've been doing, they agreed to let us host their first session outside of DC, because people are becoming aware and excited about what SEAL and SDSU is doing. So this was really good acknowledgement, if you will. And the side on the right-hand side are faculty that we're talking about their different work. Now this has been videoed, and Healthy Aging has 500 people, again, stakeholders across the country. So we're excited that we can share what we're learning. In order to share what we're doing, we've had a spring symposium for 2 years in a row. And our third one will be coming up in April. And I think it was a reflection and a testament of how we're trying to engage everybody because this is going to be a community-wide issue. It's not a system issue. It's not a rights and responsibility issue. It's really, how do we want to care for one another and our older adults and the children and grandchildren that are going to be coming behind us.
Okay, beautiful. So now we can exchange symposiums and events to come to. So we'll have a community exchange here. Okay. So we only have a few minutes left here, and I really appreciate both sets of universities here sharing what's going on. It's really inspiring, and like I said, for me, it's really exciting to be hearing the parallels and also other places for inspiration. So we've talked about all the amazingness, how nice it is to be an age-friendly university. So one question that I have to ask, because I think it's important, is to you folks at Middle Tennessee, what are some of the challenges you faced in advancing your age-friendly efforts on campus, and how have you worked to overcome them, or what strategies do you see yourself using?
So, again, we're new, we're new at this, but, if you just think about, what we've experienced so far, we don't have any funding from the university, for one. So the consortium does the consortium stuff, and the conference is all about, fundraising through sponsorships, et cetera. And so any budget we have is through those efforts. And again, the consortium really is the driver for the age-friendly university work. So that's difficult. Getting support from non-faculty at higher levels of administration and getting their attention is also always, challenging when there are so many things on their plate. That's definitely one. And, for faculty, it's challenging because, especially tenure track faculty and the expectation that they have for service, research, and education. And, everything we do at the consortium is through volunteerism, right? People are volunteering their time to anything we do. We're not paying people to do things. So that's a challenge for us, and I'm sure other universities too, is when you want to engage faculty to participate in something, you want to be sure they're getting enough out of it so that they want to participate, knowing that their time is very valuable. So those would be, the three that I would say. Brandon may have some other thoughts about that too.
It's also difficult to change policy. I mean, right? Because that doesn't, like, that's not at the faculty level. So policy change is slow. But on a lighter note, our response to these challenges is to continue to do what we've been doing, especially by continuing to build collaborative partnerships and then find external funding opportunities. I mean, that is the way we can be in control of the ship and just kind of control our future. And we also have to do our best to maintain faculty leadership momentum while advocating for greater institutional support. We often have to prove that we are making progress. And until we do that, and to the satisfaction of university administration, they're kind of just like, well, let's see what you can do. And then, if we do enough, then maybe they're willing to lend some financial support. But that's where we are with respect to trying to overcome challenges associated with advancing AFU efforts.
I would agree in terms of funding. And one of the things that happened at our last symposium, I was very proud that we had both local, state, and national nonprofits and for-profits as sponsors. And the reason for that and my effort on that was government funding comes and goes, philanthropy comes and goes, leaders come and go. And so for us to sustain the changes we're making, I knew that industry, aging leadership, aging providers need to be part of the health systems, need to be part of the work, because if they're involved, then it's much more likely that whatever we create will be sustainable because it's in their competitive interest.
Absolutely.
And I like what you said too, Brandon. I think I've been in this role for a year and a half-ish, trying to get the momentum going. And the interest in age-friendly university does ebb and flow. And I've heard from other AFUs that the challenge is trying to, keep the progress moving forward. I think we're in a good rhythm right now where we are building a lot of momentum, but like you said, there feels like there's this need to prove yourself, and trying to keep the momentum high is a challenge. Okay, I'm going to ask you one final question. It's a lightning round, then we'll wrap up. My final question is just for universities that are thinking about going into this process, any tips or thoughts or words of encouragement for them?
Get partners. Yeah.
Partners. Yeah. Partners.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say I think in both of our work, I think you touched on it earlier, Debbie, and I mentioned at the beginning, the age-friendly university is part of that ecosystem. It doesn't exist without being inside of an age-friendly community. It doesn't exist without having community connections and the people there to build it up. So partners is the best answer. All right. Well, I want to thank all of our guests for being here today. It's been a special pleasure to hear about the work that's going on in a whole other part of the country and see the overlapping trends. It's really wonderful. As I mentioned earlier, this is part of a 4-part series. So we have 2 more parts of the series coming up next Tuesday and the subsequent Tuesday after that. So please join us back here for those. It's going to be wonderful presentations. And thank you again for being here.
Stay well, everyone.
Thank you.